Motorhead Garage, the program that each week introduces you to and shows you how to install the latest in exciting and innovative products for your vehicle. Now here's your host, Dave Dobson.
Motorhead Garage is presented by DragonfireTools.com. You know, just a few years ago there was a study and it said that humans can distinguish between over 1 trillion different odors. And of course, when it comes to cars, that can be good. As motorheads, we love the scent of racing fuel, we love burning rubber, and who doesn't love that new car smell? But bad odors can ruin a good time in any vehicle. Just think about it. Mold and mildew in an RV or a boat, pet odors, old food, especially if you have little kids like I do, or the worst, cigarette or cigar smoke. Air fresheners and sprays just mask the odor, and you end up with the smell of strawberries and smoke, or lemon and mildew. It's super gross. Those sprays and air fresheners never actually take care of the problem. But Dead Scent is different. Dead Scent actually eliminates odors at the source. Now, I won't get into the weeds with the science, but when you activate Dead Scent, it produces environmentally safe chlorine dioxide. Those chlorine dioxide molecules actually break up the odor molecules and eliminate the bad scent on the spot. Now, I know what you're asking. Dead Scent is safe for people. It's safe for pets. It is safe for the environment. The package is even recyclable. And yes, Dead Scent is simple to use in your car, RV, your boat, or your home. Scott Vestal, our head of operations here, bought a classic Corvette just a few months ago. It was in good shape, but the previous owners were smokers. Scott remembered that we had a Dead Scent treatment pack on one of our studio shelves. He ran one single treatment of Dead Scent and the smell was totally gone. He tells me that after the treatment, he aired out the car and there was no trace of smoke to be found. And I've been in the car, and believe me, if it smelled like smoke, I wouldn't have gotten in the first place. But don't believe us. Here's a review from the trash crew at the Buffalo Chip Campground, one of the main centers of the Sturgis Motorcycle Rally. Wally wrote to say that he used Dead Scent in the crew's trailer. Now we're talking hardworking folks who've been sweating all day and slinging garbage. Just imagine the smell in there. Well, Dead Scent completely eliminated those odors for good. You can find sterling reviews for Dead Scent all over the interwebs. And these are real endorsements from real users. Joy used Dead Scent after her husband forgot some hamburgers in the freezer for a couple of weeks. When they went to take their camper out for another trip, they discovered thousands of flies and the horrible smell of rotting meat. Joy says she was afraid she'd never be able to use her camper again, but Dead Scent came to the rescue. It completely removed the rotten meat smell, and Joy and her husband are happy campers once again. Logan W. had a leaky sunroof, and we know how that kind of mildew can smell really badly for a long time. Well, not after using Dead Scent. And finally, Flo K. has a yacht that stayed sealed up for 2 years, and just imagine what that smelled like. Flo followed the instructions, and she used Dead Scent, and the smell is history. You can find tons of testimonials just like those at deadscent.com. Everything you need to treat even the most offensive odors comes in one package, and there are different sizes depending on what type or size vehicle you're treating. Dead Scent couldn't be easier to use. Check this out. If you can, first of all, you park your vehicle in the shade or you wait till there's no direct sunlight on it. Probably a good idea to lay down a towel before you start the treatment. Then you just open the clamshell and take everything out of the package, pour in some water, fill it right up to the fill line, and you are almost done. Now, take the treatment packet and place it blue side down in the water. That's really important. You'll see it start to react immediately. You just exit and close the space, whether it's a room, a car, an RV, or a boat, and you just wait overnight or for about 6 hours, and you'll be all set. When you come back, just open the windows and air out the space, and you are done. You'll smell the Dead Scent, which has a clean, maybe slightly salty smell to it, but not for long. Once you air out the vehicle or the room, you will not smell a thing. Pet odors, body odors, vomit, pet accidents, smoke, all gone. And that's because Dead Scent doesn't mask anything. It eliminates the odors right at the source. I mentioned that I have kids who drop food in the car, which can get stinky. And at last count, we also have about 1 trillion cats. They love it in the den, and sometimes they even find the litter box. But for the times when they don't, Dead Scent has Ultimate Enzyme Spray. You can buy it in 2 different sizes. I'm going to see if I can buy a tanker truck of it. Actually, a little goes a long way. Dead Scent's Ultimate Enzyme Spray uses special microbes to target urine and other organic odors, and the enzymes in the spray eliminate odors right at the source. You will not be able to smell them anymore. It's so good that your pets will even be unlikely to return to the spot again to do their thing or to mark their territory in the first place. Yes, the Ultimate Enzyme Spray is safe to use around your pets. It's safe for the environment. You can use it on pavement, gravel, walls, fake grass, and of course carpets and furniture. But it's not just for pet odors. Parents and daycare workers, you know what kind of smells I'm talking about. And the Ultimate Enzyme Spray is great for trash cans, dumpsters, and even that fridge or garbage disposal. You can read a pile of reviews online. Dead Scent really works, and with very little effort. Just think about how miserable a bad-smelling car or RV can make you feel. Take back your vehicle, get Dead Scent, and eliminate the odor at the source. Find it at deadscent.com. We'll be right back with more Motorhead Garage presented by DragonfireTools.com, so do not go anywhere.
Motorhead Garage, presented by DragonfireTools.com, is brought to you by PaintedAutoBodyParts.com, the leading U.S. auto body parts online store. Campbell's Custom Care, your detail specialist. And by DragonfireTools.com, industrial workbenches with integrated tool storage.
Thanks for cruising along with Motorhead Garage presented by DragonfireTools.com. Of course, you pay a lot of attention to your oil because it's super important to your engine based on durability and performance. But Guy, people don't think about their fuel. What happens when it comes to fuel?
Yeah, so when people buy fuel, they look at whatever station's cheapest on the corner.
And what's the problem with that?
Yeah, well, the problem is you get exactly what you pay for generally. And as we talked, I think earlier, the cost of the fuel systems are far higher than the cost of your engine. We can get so picky about the oil we use and the filter we use, but when it comes to the fuel itself, it's like, whatever's cheapest, that's what I'm using.
But there's additives there that you can take, and every tank full you put that in, or every 3,000 or 5,000 miles, you put it in the tank, so what's wrong with doing that?
Yeah, well, the problem with that is, you know, the standard thought is, well, change my oil, and I'll put an additive in to clean my fuel system, right? But what you're doing is actually taking brand new clean oil and then blasting all the carbon out of your cylinders and your valves and putting it in that brand new clean oil.
And that obviously defeats the purpose of cleaning the injectors. So what have you done to solve the problem?
Okay, so our approach is completely different. We call it changing the way you treat your fuel, right? So as opposed to cleaning it every once in a while, we clean it every single time. So every time you get fuel, you use 1 ounce to 10 gallons. And then you clean your fuel system a little at a time, all the time. So when you go to change your oil, your fuel system's already 100% clean, and you're not adding any garbage or any carbon into that brand new fresh oil.
So for a container this size, how many tankfuls can I treat?
120 gallons.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And it goes a long, long way.
It goes a long ways. And so you're not buying 12 containers. A standard additive treats 10 gallons, and supposedly, you know, you only need them every now and then you throw that bottle away. So you're throwing not only all that plastic away, but you're really spending your money on plastic, labeling, shipping, handling, and you don't have any money to put anything inside the container.
So this is the bulk purchase kind of model right here.
Yeah, exactly right. Spend your money inside, not outside.
And that's for the folks that are, you know, doing it by the tankful. You also sell larger quantities, and you're even selling big containers for fleets and that sort of thing.
5 gallon, 55 gallon, and we even sell totes.
Your slogan is changing the way you treat your fuel.
Changing the way you treat your fuel.
How are you going to big companies and changing the way people think about fuel?
Well, basically, we go in and we educate them. We have a class that's 3.5 to 4 hours where we help people understand the changes in the industry, how this fuel system works today compared to what they used to. Well, my grandpa used to, that don't work anymore. Your grandpa didn't run the equipment we run today with the fuel.
Believe me when I tell you, the last little bit I've spent with Guy has been a masterclass in fuel treatment. Performance Fuel Specialist knows a whole lot about fuel, and they can teach you too. Go to fuelguys.com. You can see the data there. And you can see more great products for your vehicle when we come back to Motorhead Garage presented by DragonfireTools.com, so do not go anywhere.
Motorhead Garage, presented by DragonfireTools.com, coming to you from the Campbell's Custom Care Studio.
This is Motorhead Garage presented by DragonfireTools.com, and this is a cell phone. Of course, we all have them, and you're a motorhead, so I know you love to be in your car. So what do you do with your phone when you're in your car? You've got a lot of options, right? You can put it on the magnet on the dash. That's on your vent. It's going to block your vent in the summertime. That's a bad deal. In the wintertime, it's going to fry your phone. And you can put it in your cup holder. You can put it on your lap. But of course, you know you're going to drive it. It's going to fall into the crack there, and you'll never see it again. And half of the states, Scott, in the union don't allow you to hold it in your hand anyway, and that's a bad idea. So what's my solution? What can I do?
So you put it in a cell phone seat. Cell phone seat is The newest device on the market, it is a single piece of plastic that's got a flexible base. All you gotta do is flex this and pop it in your cup holder and release it. It's gonna lock in there, and then guess what? Now you're legally hands-free. You can just drop your phone in there like that. You can also go horizontal. You got power cord access here, and here's the best part. Cell phone seat does not block your cup holder. You still have room for your drink.
Whoa, that is cool. And it's so simple. Why didn't somebody think of this before?
I don't know. It was exactly the same with me. I was driving in my neighborhood in my truck. I threw my phone in my cup holder like most people do, and it landed in some kind of a goo, from my kid's squeeze pack. And I pulled my phone out, and I was kind of annoyed, and I thought, why isn't there a better solution? And kind of this idea popped in my head, and I went home to look for it. You go home and you look online, and I was like, this has to exist. It didn't exist. I couldn't figure out why. So I decided to draw it out, much to my wife's dismay, as she's looking over my shoulder saying, what are you doing? What are you doing? I was like, I got an idea. So I drew it out. I found actually a designer that could do 3D AutoCAD type designs, and we 3D printed them just to test it out. And I got the first one I remember that was 3D printed, and it was huge. It was like this big. And the guy that was kind of helping me with the designs felt bad. He's like, I messed it up, it's too big. I was like, no, send it, let me see it. I need to know if this works. Sure enough, I put the big one in my cup holder. Even though it was giant, it worked perfectly. So we kept going, and as you can see now, we have the final version. It took about 6 years to actually get this just right. But now we have a universal cell phone mount that fits in about 90% of vehicle cup holders, holds pretty much any phone, phones with cases, any type of phone, phones with accessories, pop sockets, loopies, doopies, sloopies, whatever you got. This one simple device is going to work for most everything.
What are some of the little extras you put a lot of thought into to keep the phone in place there?
Sure, so the first thing we did was we cut out these side slots here, and that's going to allow you to put your phone in there horizontal. Interestingly enough, it also works with tablets in that horizontal slot. We put this in my son's cup holder on his car seat, and he can put his iPad in there for long road trips. We put a flexible tab here that's going to put a little pressure on the phone, so it's going to hold phones in there, phones without cases, smaller phones, it's going to hold those in a little bit tighter. And then it also can flex back when you have bigger cases like this. This is an iPhone 14 Pro with a wallet on it. It's going to be able to flex back and hold those in there as well. Those bigger cases with OtterBox cases, it's going to be able to push that tab back and hold that in as well. We have power cord access here, so obviously people want to be able to charge their phone in the car. And I like the fact that this sits in your cup holder. Your power cord is staying down here to the side. A lot of newer cars have those flexible tabs in their cup holders, or those rubber kind of squares. So we cut the slots out here to allow those tabs to go right in there, and they work great. It's so fun to put this in when you have those spring-loaded tabs in here that just click in place like it's meant for it. But that doesn't mean that you need those tabs. It's going to work with cup holders without the tabs or without the rubber things as well. It's going to work in a lot of different cup holder styles, as long as they're between about 2.5 to 4 inches and round, which pretty much
most of them are, right?
Most of them are.
You put so much thought into the design. How much thought did you put into the materials that you're using as well?
We talked about doing, different types of plastics. We talked about doing different types of materials like rubber. We landed on ABS plastic, which is the same thing that Legos are made out of. It's a very non-toxic, safe plastic, right? Because kids play with it. And if you've ever stepped on a Lego in the middle of the night, you know how strong ABS plastic is.
Guilty as charged.
This is a very strong, well-made device. It's going to work in extreme heat. It's going to work in, extreme cold. It's a very universal material.
It's a veteran-owned company. The product is made in America, and this is going to make things a lot safer and more convenient for you when you're behind the wheel. It is called the Cell Phone Seat. You can find it at cellphoneseat.com. And you can find more Motorhead Garage presented by DragonfireTools.com just around the corner. And oh, don't forget, Motorhead of the Week coming up.
Motorhead Garage presented by DragonfireTools.com. Industrial workbenches with integrated tool storage. And brought to you by Amsoil, the first in synthetics. Tailgate Defender, engineered to fold, built to hold. And by Custom Autosound, the originator of classic car OEM fit radio since 1977.
Motorhead Garage is presented by DragonfireTools.com. Just take a look at this beautiful 1964 Chevrolet Impala SS, incredibly restored, and I tell you, this thing looks just like it did when it rolled off the assembly line and rolled down Main Street cruising in 1964. Now, we all know cruising just isn't cruising without some good music. And if you're doing a restoration or a build, you have a few different options in regards to the stereo. Now, you can buy an aftermarket stereo that has great sound, but it won't look the part. That thing's going to stick out like a sore thumb on your vintage dash. And you can try to find an original radio. Good luck finding one that works or one you can afford. And to boot, it probably won't sound that great because it's using old technology. What's more, you won't have the conveniences you're used to, like Bluetooth, the ability to play your MP3 player or a CD or satellite radio or anything like that. But you can have it all with custom Autosound, a modern stereo that looks great and looks just like a vintage analog radio from the 1960s. This particular unit is a USA 630. Of course, it has Bluetooth capabilities, and it has 300 watts of peak power, which should be all you need. This thing fits right in your dash with no modifications, and it comes with a bezel or a trim piece with your car or truck's manufacturer's logo. You can see the Chevy logo right there. Now, custom Autosound has been around for nearly 50 years, almost as long as this Impala. These things are durable, high-quality units that are made to last, and that's because every custom Autosound model undergoes extreme temperature testing, a temperature aging test, and, super important in a muscle car, a vibration test. Before it leaves the factory, each custom Autosound radio is hand-inspected and adjusted by a technician. Custom Autosound covers 400 plus makes and models. They have an amazing array of radios and speakers made to fit your vehicle and made to fit your budget. That's important too. There's 4 different models of in-dash radios, including the slide bar radio. And with the slide bar radio, you get a radio that looks just like an old analog radio when it's turned off. And when you slide the bar, you get a digital display that allows you to control every function of your radio, just like a modern radio. If you have a street rod or a classic and you want to leave the original radio in the dash, the secret audio radio is just for you. That unit hides usually under the seat or behind the dash, and you get your Bluetooth, AM, FM radio, iPod control, CD control, and it integrates perfectly with your speaker system. No one will even know it's there. Now, by the way, I mentioned speakers. Custom Autosound has speakers too, and just like their radios, their speakers are made to match your car's style or to hide under a seat if you want to keep the vehicle's original looks. Custom Autosound makes units for over 400 different makes and models. I guarantee you they're going to have one that looks great in your car or truck. You can find them at customautosound.com. And hey, look over there. There's everybody's favorite professor, John Gardner.
Do you know with one tool and some simple diagnosis, you can tell the condition of your engine? Well, you can. It's called a vacuum gauge. Welcome to this Amsoil Tech Tip. Let's talk a little bit about vacuum. What is it and how it's created? Well, we all know compression. When it goes up, it actually squeezes that mixture in there. The rings, the valves, it's all got to be able to squash in there. But opposite that, as that piston's going down, that's called the intake stroke. We're actually drawing that air-fuel mixture in and creating a vacuum. You can see it in action right here. That piston's on its way down, and when that piston's on its way down, that intake valve's open. We're creating an absence of pressure, a vacuum. That air-fuel ratio is then getting put into that cylinder. I told you can actually use a vacuum gauge to read it. Yeah, super simple. How do you want to hook it up? Well, just find you a vacuum source. Always past the throttle body there. We got a Mustang here. We actually found a good vacuum source right there. Just put a vacuum gauge on it. You're gonna have somebody inside the car. Go ahead and start the car. Once you start the car, read your gauge. What are you looking for on the gauge? Well, that's important. I got a couple different readings here for you. Normal vacuum, 17 to 21 inches of mercury. Low but steady, the actual next 3 of them. You got low but steady, you got steady low, and then you got steady low. You either have an intake leak or something going on with the timing, something like that. And then you can actually use it for a clogged exhaust. You can hold it to 2,500 RPM, and then if it slowly goes to 0, you know that you're not getting the exhaust out, you can't get any vacuum in. Len, though, one problem is those high-performance cars. That camshaft. If I have that camshaft, vacuum gauge readings are not going to work, and you need some special considerations with that as well. What are you going to do for high-performance cars with Amsoil?
Well, from an oil standpoint, generally speaking, that hippity-hoppity camshaft that you're talking about, it requires more additives, more wear protection. Basically, it's a boosted, formulation. Our racing oils, when we're speaking ultra-high performance, are fortified with that. So it's got extra zinc is the key word that everybody knows. It's got boosted zinc. It's got boosted anti-wear additives. It's got very, very robust heavy-duty base oils in it to provide the protection that those racing engines require.
Now, they need that because of bearings. Let's talk a little bit about bearings and racing oils, more compression.
Right, compression, supercharging, nitrous oxide, all of those things are going to apply heavy pressure on the bearings. So if you don't have good film strength, that metal can get real close to touching, and that creates wear.
Old school cars with that cam lope, and we also have different camshafts back then too.
Correct. Flat tappet camshafts, were and continue to be a thing. Those require, very simply, they require ZDDP, also referred to as zinc. And once again, we do boost our racing oils with more zinc.
Well, whether you have a normal car, a race car, snowmobile, ATV, UTV, no matter what you have, just go to amsoil.com and they got a specifically designed oil for you.
The PaintedAutoParts.com Motorhead of the Week is Pete Olson from Hebron, Connecticut. Surprise, Pete, your wife Shelly is the one who nominated you. Now, Pete and his best friend went to their first drag race when they were still in high school, and as the story goes, they were hooked. Just a few years later, Pete found the perfect car to go drag racing. It was a 1968 Dodge Dart. Now, Pete did a lot of the fabrication by himself. It's still a work in progress. He did the roll cage, the ladder bars, the mods on the dash and trunk. The first time he took it to the track, it was a 12-second car clocking in at 110 miles an hour. Nearly 25 years later, Pete and the Dart are still together, as I mentioned, and the Dart is in its fourth configuration of its big block 440. What was once a 12-second car ran in the low 10s just last season. Now, Pete has high hopes to break into the 9s this year, so good luck, Pete. You can be like Shelly Olson. You can rat out a friend or a family member. Just tell us all about them, why they should be the PaintedAutoParts.com Motorhead of the Week. Just send us a note at MotorheadGarage.tv. We will do it once again next week. We hope you join us then. We'll see you next time on Motorhead Garage, presented by DragonfireTools.com.